The hunt begins. We're talking about Apex Legends, more specifically Bloodhound, and what it takes to be the best tracker you can be. Eric, what's the quick rundown on this legend?
Bloodhound is the technological tracker, the only recon legend currently in the game. The legend's there to provide a bunch of information to your team, give you scouting information, and give you tactical advantages.
Speaking of tactical advantages, the first ability that Bloodhound has is the Eye of the AllFather, which briefly reveals enemies' traps and clues throughout the structures ahead of you. What's important there is ahead of you is key, right? Because you and I both started playing very early on and figured that the bubble that comes out appears to be 360, but it's not, right?
The bubble is more to warn enemies, I think, just to give them a fair advantage, but it has to be in front of you. Doesn't matter if it's upstairs, downstairs, as long as you have them in front of you or know that they're somewhere in front of you, you hit that ability, it's gonna tell you where they are. However, that doesn't mean that that's where they're gonna be, so you kind of have to be predictive. You have to make sure that you're not too honed in on the silhouette. You know, they're gonna start moving. Don't shoot the silhouette. I've done that a couple times, like, oh, yeah, they're right there. Oh crap, they've actually moved slightly to the left or right. So just be aware of that.
Right, don't necessarily chase the hologram that's left. Try to predict where they're running. Just think ahead for sure. Yeah, and as we mentioned, it will give away your position, so be cautious with it. Next on the list is the passive ability Tracker, which allows Bloodhound to see tracks left behind your foes from up to 60 seconds or less. What are your thoughts on this ability?
It is awesome, but also it's a lot of information to take in. I think the biggest thing you should take away from it is it kind of goes from dark red to kind of like pink or white. And so, you know, if it's dark red, oh crap, they've been here, they're really close, right, I better watch out.
Someone traveled through here recently.
You know, if it's older information, it starts to fade to white, a little bit pink, and you don't have to be as concerned, but it does give you a lot of information. It kind of gives you if an enemy's used a zipline, if they've mantled something. And knowing the weapon is actually pretty important because, okay, it's a peacekeeper. Maybe we fight mid to long range because this person wants to be up close and in the fray.
And the other part too is if you find something good, like a good piece of info, as you mentioned, hover over that and ping it. You can relay all this information to your team, and if you don't have a mic, you should totally be using that system.
Someone traveled through here recently. There was a recent contact with hostile.
Last but not least, the ultimate ability, Beast of the Hunt. It's probably the best part about Bloodhound, Eric. What can you say about it?
I think it's awesome. It gives you a speed up, so you are moving, you are trucking. You can use that movement speed in various ways, you know, to flank a team, to outrun a circle. Maybe you just engaged in a team and you're like, I gotta get out of here. Maybe you already popped the ult. You can totally get out of there, right, with Beast of the Hunt. You can use it just to book it across the map. It can be jarring at first because it kind of goes black and white, right? But maybe that helps you see the enemies even easier. And it's just awesome. It pairs well, as you mentioned earlier, with against smoke or with smoke from Bangalore, or even with the caustic or against the caustic, because you're not afraid of the lack of vision. You can now see through that. You basically have map hacks in a way. You know, like you're like, great, please smoke your teammate and revive them, because now I'm gonna get both of you because I can see exactly where you're at.
The other part about Beast of the Hunt, just like the tactical, is that one, enemies can hear you engage it.
I am Bloodhound.
And secondly, people will know you have it engaged if they're looking at you because your eyes glow red.
If you are near the Bloodhound and it's still active, you can actually hear it. You can hear that Bloodhound has it triggered, and it's actually pretty terrifying.
Well, cool. That was the ultimate ability. Any other final tips, Eric, you have with Bloodhound?
Yeah, we were talking about the crows.
Right.
You'll see them from time to time. I'm not exactly sure what they indicate. You know, we thought maybe enemies at one point, but then I saw them and then there weren't any enemies that close, so maybe just to tell you there's information.
That's what I'm thinking, and a lot of people on Reddit are kind of thinking the same. It's not really so defined. I think it's the crows are essentially a reminder, or the game kind of nudging you into saying like, hey, there's a bunch of information near you from an enemy team that was here, or a firefight that happened. Why don't you look around and see if you can find anything of use for you. And then the last thing was something that you said happened to you, was that Mirage, as he has the hologram and the cloak, when he has his ult engaged, you could see his footsteps, right?
Yeah, it was interesting. We were in a final circle. I've never seen this interaction before. You know, he uses his ultimate ability to try to either flank us or kind of, you know, just get away, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I see him, because of the silhouette, because you can still see it. But I
Yeah.
see a trail of footsteps as he's running towards me, and I'm like, oh, I've never seen that before. That's cool. It makes sense, right? Because Bloodhound is a tracker.
Yeah, and that's going to do it for this Bloodhound guide. For more guides on Apex Legends, stay tuned to GameSpot.
Hostile.